Okay, we're gonna go ahead and start the APRN committee and bring this meeting to order. I would like the current committee meeting board members on the committee to identify themselves to ensure that we have a quorum, please, and thank you, since everybody's virtual. Except me, I'm here.
This is Kelly Fritz, nurse midwife. And I'm sorry I'm not there in person. I've got a sick grandbaby, so I'm hanging around here today with them.
No, thank you for coming. We appreciate you.
And this is Michaela Heiston.
You. And Kenyatta?
Kenyatta's there,
Kenyatta's
and Kimberly.
And Kimberly.
And it looks like we have a Michelle Reese.
Oh, you have Michelle
Oh,
right on?
yeah.
Should we bring her in?
Okay.
Okay, cool. You can bring her in.
Oh, you got everybody.
Everybody's here, even better.
Just a second. There you go.
Thank you. I think I came in on the public link. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Okay, thank you for everybody for coming. We appreciate you. Okay, so we have a quorum and I didn't see an on-site. We'll call the meeting to order and then a review of an on-site packet. No on-site packet. Okay. And then we'll go on any additions or revisions to the agenda.
Nope.
Any announcements? Okay, and then approval for the minutes from June 11th, 2024.
This is Michelle Reisinger. I move to approve.
Do I have a second?
I'll
Kelly.
second that. This is Michaela. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. Sorry, I'm doing that. Hang on, let me get this marked really quick. Okay, all right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. And then we'll move on with the agenda. And then we have consent agenda items. And the first one is the APRN programs approved for licensure.
Yeah, this is Carol, and you've got that in your packet. And really just kind of refresh everybody's memory what this is. It's on page 8, and what this is these are out-of-state programs that graduates have applied for APRN licensure here in Kansas. And so we look at their transcript and make sure that they have the requirements that we require in Kansas for licensure. And all of these do. I will just draw your attention, you know, some of them have like one that has 600 hours and stuff. So once our regulation changes go through and that goes up to 750, I think we'll see a little bit more of an issue with some of these out-of-state ones that maybe do not have 750 hours, especially probably the master's level, because they don't tend to have as much as the DMP, it seems like. So just FYI, but all of these meet the requirements.
And then when will that 750 go into effect?
I will just kind of tell you an update on the APRN regulation changes. There were 9 of them that you all requested that go forward. And as a reminder, this was part of our application to the U.S. Department of Education to be an approved provider for accrediting nursing education, is that we had to get these updated. So we started the process, and out of the 9, 5 got through the Attorney General's office, the Department of Administration and the Attorney General. The other ones had minor changes requested from the Attorney General. They had made it through the Department of Administration. I made those changes and they're back with the Attorney General's office right now. And so I'm kind of waiting on that to go forward. And what happens next, once they get approved through the Attorney General's office, is the economic impact statement and the stamped approved regulations have to go to the Department of Budget, Division of Budget, and then they have to look at the economic statement and the regulations. They will stamp them if they're okay, and then they'll be published in the Kansas Register. We put a date for a public hearing, and that has to be out at least 60 days, which allows for the 60-day comment period, and in which anybody can send comments to me about the proposed changes. And then we have the public hearing, and I bring all of those comments back to the board then, and the board either approves, adopts those regulations basically, or makes changes and the whole thing starts over again.
Okay,
So we have a ways to go. In education, I will tell you, in education committee this morning, they really feel very strongly that we should go ahead with those 4, because what we're up against here is when we did the U.S. Department of Education reapproval process, I went in front of the U.S. Department of Education, I believe it was like February. And they actually put us on conditional approval because of these regs not being revised exactly how they should, even though we've started the process. And the understanding and what they told me is I have to do another report back to them in February. And these regulations need to be changed by then, need to be through the process. And I'm just being real truthful, I'm not sure that's gonna happen. That's why they wanted me to go ahead with the 4 that have been through the Attorney General's office. And try to get those through at least. So I'm not really sure exactly what will happen with the U.S. Department of Education if all of those 9 are not all the way through by February. But it would be pushing it right now with the 60-day comment period and all of that having to come back to the board before final adoption is done. So I'm not sure. I mean, we started them a while ago, but there's a lot of this that's out of our control.
thank you.
Mhm.
I appreciate
Sorry.
it. No, okay, thank you. Okay, so then next on the agenda item for final review is KAR 60-11-106. Functions of the advanced practice registered nurse and nurse anesthetist. B KAR 60-13-102, approval of procedure. KAR 60-113 or 13-103, school approved requirements, school approval requirements. KAR 60-13-104, exam approval. KAR 60-13-110, reinstatement of authorization. KAR 60-13-111, continuing education definitions. KAR 60-13-112, license renewal. And KAR 60-13-113, approval of registered nurse anesthetist, continuing education. Did everybody get a chance to look those over? Any additional comments or changes, or everybody feel comfortable going ahead and getting the motion started and approving? Any objections? No? Okay. All right, so then, can I do
You can read the motion.
it? Okay, then I move to approve the consent item agenda, which included the APRN programs approved for licensure, and then the final review of KAR 60-11-106, do I need to do the full? Okay. KAR 60-13-102, KAR 60-13-103, KAR 60-13-104, KAR 60-13-110, KAR 60-13-111, KAR 60-13-112, and KAR 60-13-113. Do we have a second? Kimyetta?
I'll second.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you very much. All right, and then let's move on to unfinished business. The prescription monitoring program committee report.
Yeah, this is Carol, and just to let you know, we do have a representative on that, Tracy Clark. And I just found out that she had actually been approved by K-Trax. And so I did not get her on this agenda, and so starting in December, we'll have her attend and give us an update on the work that that program has done, because they meet, I don't know if it's every other month or something like that. But we do have someone now.
Okay, great. Good to hear. All right, number 2, update on the CNMI regulations.
Okay, this is Carol, and to my knowledge, there's been nothing else done with these regulations or the advisory council, or what, I think that's what they call it, in the Board of Healing Arts. We have been working, trying to get people who, at least, we're supposed to have 4 nurse midwives on this advisory council. And so Kelly sent me some information, and we do have Chrissy Summers. She has submitted an application, and Jamie and Kara said that they would stay on. However, just Kelly, I'll let you know that Veronica, I did send her an application, but have never heard back. So right now we have 3, I believe. And we're supposed to have 4. So, Kelly, do you think she still is interested?
She and some other nurse midwives have just started a new practice, so I don't know if that is kind of taking all of her time, but I will talk to her.
Right. Because I never heard yes, no, or anything back from her, so, okay, I wasn't sure. All right.
Okay, and then thank you very much. Appreciate your help, Kelly, in getting that repopulated. Number 3, regulations review process to be completed by March 2025. We have 3 of 20. So the approval completed are the 3 listed there, KR 60-11-101, 102, and 103. And then we just did what was on the next group, which was on the consent agenda, which we just did for September 10th. And then we have the review for initial comments on the KR 60-11-13, 11-16, 11, or 116, 118, 1120, 121, 60-11, 104, 104A, 105, and 107. So we'll go through those. And did everybody send their comments in?
We didn't get any from anybody except you.
Oh, except me. Okay. Do people have comments?
I do on the nurse midwife one, but what, on all of them?
Yes.
I have notes on them.
What are our options? We can go through them individually.
You can look at each one individually. I was trying to remember where they actually started. And 11-113 starts on page 23 in your packet is 60-11-113 license renewal.
No, not that one.
So, my comments, I put, yes, gives clear guidelines as to what's needed for CNE and timing of license renewal. And then also ensures accountability with licensure renewal, certification, CE requirements, and guidelines of malpractice insurance coverage for public safety. And that revocation or potential for revocation would lead to lack of accountability with licensure renewal. And then I also put that we weren't asking for revocation. That's something that needs to continue to be a regulation. Did anybody have anything to add to that? Sound okay? Okay, so let's move on to 6011-116, which is reinstatement of licensure. Would be scrolling.
Page 28.
Is it 28? Okay, page 28. And I said, yes, needed, provides, provider decides, they would like to work within the state of Kansas. We need to be ready to help those individuals return to the healthcare workforce. Gives clear guidelines as to what is expected by KSBN. I put for all 4 roles. Does this cover all 4 roles? For all 4 roles to the healthcare workforce, and then, we're not asking for revocation, and that would be short-sighted not to have an option for those healthcare workers who want to come back to the healthcare workforce, especially during the shortage that we currently have. Anybody else have anything else? Any other additional comments? Okay. Okay, and then we'll move on to 60-11-118.
On page 33.
33. Thanks, Carol. And that is a temporary permit to practice. And when I was reading through it, I thought it was a great option for providers who are coming back to Kansas to work and help with our healthcare needs. Gives individuals the option to work while they are reinstated, and to have options for healthcare providers to serve the public. And that this needs no revocation. We would not want that, and it needs to be an option for those individuals who want to work in the state of Kansas. Any additional comments? Okay. Can they add it afterwards?
Can they add their comments?
After, if they think of something later?
Yeah, if they want to get their comments to us before probably 6 weeks before the December meeting, we would not have had the packet put together yet, but
Okay. All right, so if you think of something after we review these,
we can email them to
you can email them to Carol and Jill. If it happens as we review these, if it's something, you think of something later. 60-11-120.
It's on page 38.
38. Expiration dates of licenses and applications. I put, we need to have this clearly defined for all nursing professionals to be aware of expectations, and we need to hold our healthcare providers accountable of expiration dates. And no, we don't want revocation. We'll need this clearly spelled out for expectations for our healthcare providers in the state of Kansas. Anybody think of any additional comments? Thanks for bringing these out.
Hey, Melissa, I don't have one on this one, but on the previous one, Carol, can you remind me of the process of background check? So the temporary license gets issued after a background check. Is that correct? We're not just issuing.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I think you're ready to answer my question.
Yeah, we actually, you'll see temporary permits used a lot, especially in someone who has been licensed in another state. And so we know that they've been licensed as an APRN. They're endorsing into Kansas, but it takes a little while to get all of their information. So we can give them a temporary permit to practice. I think it's for 120 days. And that gives us time to get all of their information in, because sometimes it takes a little while, but part of that information is a background check. They have to have the background, they have to have the fingerprints submitted, I believe, but we don't actually have to have the background report back yet. But again, they will have been licensed in another state.
Right. So
That makes
does that it makes perfect sense, except for if they're licensed in another state and they're under discipline in that other state, and before that all sorts itself out, is there a possibility that they can come and temporarily practice, or are we worried about that, or should I be worried about that?
We always check nurses. And
Okay.
so we can see discipline information and stuff in nurses that of course the public would not be able to see.
Okay,
However,
that's really,
there might be an instance, I guess, I don't know if it happened, if they were under investigation in another state and nothing had actually happened with
Right.
that, you know, it's still going on, and so there's not actually
Right.
been any discipline attached. I don't know. That might be a possibility. Yeah. So
okay.
that would be an instance in which that could happen, you know.
Okay, I was thinking that there could be, probably very minimally, but there could be a little bit of a gap there, but probably not happening every day all the time.
Well, as long as the information is in nurses. And see, that's part of the problem, is that the information would not be in nurses yet.
Right, okay.
And I have a quick question. By no means are we the only state that offers a temporary license. Is that true?
Yeah.
So
It's kind of common that they offer temporary, because you usually have the APRN coming in and they want to practice right away. And so if they're held up, and they can't practice until we get their transcript, we get their background and all of that, sometimes that can take a little while, especially maybe the transcript more than the fingerprints and the background, but we have to have all of that information before we can license them. So it could hold up them practicing for a little while if we were not able to do a temp. But we don't extend the temporary, such as if I applied for license here,
Right.
and we didn't have all that information after 120 days, it does not get extended.
Okay,
They usually have
From the
plenty
nurse
of time.
midwifery side. From the nurse midwifery side, we need this to help people get started in terms of getting employed, starting the credentialing processes, because their employers want them to be able to be functional, you know, and reimbursable as quickly as possible.
The employers would be not happy if we didn't have this option, I think is a good way to put it.
no, I was just thinking if there was a way to issue it after the background check, but that's not necessary, because you just said that you check nurses. And if the board doesn't feel like it's important enough, or it's serious enough, I should say, to stick it in nurses, then we're probably good. You know what I mean? If that's the way it's happening in my head anyway. So,
Yes. Yeah.
okay.
any other comments, concerns? Okay, so we left off on 60-11-121.
It's on page 43.
On page 43, I'm gonna scroll up there. Scroll down. And that's the exempt license. I put that yes gives clear guidelines of who can apply for an exempt license. This is a great way to keep healthcare providers engaged for charitable work. And has options for those healthcare providers who'd like to provide charitable healthcare. And then we're not asking for revocation because we'd like for those who are willing to provide the charitable health work as an option to do so for the less fortunate in the state of Kansas. Any additional comments?
My question was exempt from exempt from what? To specify what is exempt from. Exempt from the practice requirement, exempt from what?
Oh, I thought it was fees.
I think it has something to do with CD, doesn't it?
Well, they only would be they cannot be regularly engaged as an APRN, okay? And they volunteer, it's charitable. So they're exempt from. I don't think they have less of a fee, I'm sure. I don't have that in front of me. But I think that's part of it is they have less of a fee. It's not the $85 probably. It doesn't say that they're exempt from C&E. I think that's the inactive or something. But they cannot be in regular practice, but they can volunteer.
That's what I just thought it should be clarified because the title should be clarified. When I first looked at it, I thought, what am I asking to be exempt from?
Yeah, and as a reminder, that's a really good point if you want to look at revisions and stuff. However, that's not really what we're looking at right now. You're answering, should it be revoked? What would happen if it was revoked to the public? And then if you want revisions or something made, that would be another agenda item that would not be part of this process because it would be separate from this. But I know some other committees have looked at these and they've said, okay, we think there needs to be some revisions. So then that's put on the agenda for maybe the next meeting or something. And then they can start down the path and say, how does this need to be revised and stuff like that. So I just want to clarify that.
Okay. Does that make sense, Kelly? Then we can, I'll circle it. To remind myself. Okay, any additional questions, concerns? Okay, so let's go on to 60-11-104, which is page 47. Is that right?
48.
Oh, 48. Oh, 48. And I put, gives clear guidelines on how the NP is prepared, health promotion, and the need to work within evidence-based nursing practice. And that it need, yes, and we want to define it for the public and what to expect from their provider. And no, we don't want revocation to clearly state to ensure the public and the state of Kansas is aware of what NP healthcare providers are doing, managing within healthcare. Any additional, or if you think of something, please email it. And then we have 60-11-104A. Which is 52.
Oh, 53.
53. And prescription orders. It defines the NP needs a DEA number and guidelines as to what's needed when prescribing medications to the public. Helps educate the public as what to the NP can prescribe and what is needed when prescribing medications. And no, we don't want revocation because we'll make sure that we're educating the public and that there's some type of understanding.
And just to clarify, this particular one is for in the nurse practitioner. It's also for the CNS and it's also for the nurse midwife. This particular one falls underneath each of those. I just put it down once. But
Okay, so would anybody like to add anything for the nurse midwives?
I think the phrase consistent with the licensee specific role and population focus covers everything. So yes, it's what you said, it's appropriate, it's needed, it's clear.
Okay. And I've never practiced as a, do we have any CNSs? Is anybody practice as a CNS? Is it appropriate for a CNS?
Yeah, it would be.
You're really shaking her head, okay.
It's less common for a CNS to be in that role, but there are many that do function in patient-specific populations like heart failure and some things like that. So yeah.
Okay. Okay, good to know. Make sure that we're all on the same. So then we'll just add in the specifics for those three roles. Okay, and then we have nurse midwife, 60-11-105, which is
58, page 58.
58. And I just put that the guidelines on how a nurse midwife is prepared, how promotion needs to work within evidence-based nursing practice, helps define it for the public. And that definitely we do not want revocation. And this is the expectations from a nurse with midwife provider. What do you have, Kelly? That's kind of out of my realm. It was very,
No, I mean, it was fine. Just at some point in the future, I was just thinking under revisions, consistency of phrasing, consistency of language from different, across the different roles as appropriate. Could kind of edit and clean that up a little bit, but no, it's fine.
okay, I'm writing notes. Okay. Okay. And then we have prescription orders for nurse midwives. We did that already. And then we also did for KR 6011-104 and then KR 60-11-107, clinical nurse specialist.
And that's on page 63.
And my only question is, are they still doing CNS? Do we still have schools?
We don't have any schools in Kansas, but we still have license. We probably
Okay,
have some, I think. It's going down, but no, none of our advanced practice schools in Kansas offer CNS.
okay, but we still have licensees in Kansas.
We
Okay,
do. Uh-huh.
I only know a few, so that's why I was asking. So we don't want revocation, we want them to be represented. And we need to have their guidelines and how they're prepared and ensuring the public knows what to expect from their CNS provider. And so definitely no revocation for this, educate the public. Anybody else who works with CNSs? There's been a CNS, Kimberly. Sound good? And if you think of, oh, I'm sorry.
Said, yeah, I've been a CNS for a minute.
Okay. How does that sound to you?
It looks good. It looks fine.
Great. So then, if you think of some additional comments, please send those to Jill and Carol, and we'll get those added on. Okay, and then next we have, new business. I don't have any new business. Does anybody else? Okay, so the agenda items for December 2024 committee meeting.
You'll have these regulations that you just talked about
On
for the initial on the consent,
Okay,
and you'll have any programs that we've looked at. You'll have a report from Tracy about the prescription monitoring.
okay,
I'll bring back any news on the CNMI regulations.
okay. Anything else that anybody else can think of? Is there a time and place that we do revisions?
Revisions to the regulations usually come out of committees, and committees do it when they feel like they need to be updated because of practice or something else going on, you know, if the language isn't as consistent across these as you would like, or something like that. Because these were last updated when, that law was passed in 2022.
2022.
Yeah, so these are fairly frequently revised, or they've been revised recently, that would be the better word. Except for the CRNAs, those were not really done very much then. But, you know, they've been trying to get some regulation going. And of course, they're revised if a statute has been changed. That would lead to the revision needing to be changed. Other than that, it's kind of up to the committee if you've identified stuff that you want to bring back to the committee for discussion about revisions. Just the regular revisions usually start out of a committee.
Okay. I mean, I know we were kind of, seeing what happened with the CRNAs for a little bit.
Yeah, you are.
We're waiting for
Yeah.
that,
Yeah. I'm not
but
sure.
I'm not sure how that's gonna go either.
I'm not sure either.
So let's, do you feel like this is, since Kelly brought it up, is this something that we should try to do before December, or should kind of wait till next year? Since we have a few things going through, we're finish up with our revocation packets.
Yeah, I would just encourage you not to get these two processes confused, because I think that's a little
Okay,
confusing, and sometimes if you want to talk about a revision, you know, if you kind of let them know, you know, hey, next committee, then everybody can kind of come with some ideas about what they want.
okay.
It's just how I've seen them do it.
Okay, why don't we, if there's some ideas about language or consistency, let's do that. And then let's finish our revocation process if everybody's okay with that first. Let's get one thing done and then we'll move on to the next thing because we have to be done by March of 2025. So we need to wrap it up. And then you'll send us a new list to be looking at for December. Or
Yeah, you'll have finished. Yeah, once you see these ones that you just did, on the
okay.
consent, this is it.
Oh, this is it.
Yeah, we're starting to see some committees wind them up, because CNS wound those up today, so you guys will be through yours.
In December.
Yeah, you'll see these, unless you want to change these in December or something, but that'll be the last time that you'll be seeing this process. So if you
Okay.
wanted to start then with revisions, you could.
We could talk about it and see what that looks like, maybe early next year. Once we're done, and then, okay, so any additional, comments that you'd like to see on these, please get them in. 6 weeks prior to our December meeting. And then that way they can be included in. Any other questions or concerns? We have an agenda set. Anything else I can add on? Okay then, well, thank you everybody for coming and we'll go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Have a great afternoon.